What is going on, everybody, man? Welcome to the Caveman, the Nashville Caveman Show with your host, Damo Unleash. And I got a good friend of mine also co hosting with me. Go ahead and introduce yourself and plug anything in that you need to plug in.
Hey, first of all, thank everybody for coming, watching, listening. God is good because He woke us all up today. There's a lot of people that went to sleep last night that did not wake up today. So let's first thank God for today. Secondly, I'm Scott Black. Thank you, Damo, for letting me, come on here and co-host with you. Again, we have the Off Top Radio for any independent artist that's looking for radio play. We have the OffTopRecords.net for any artist that's looking for a place to put their content to stream to the public. So, if you want to get at me, you can always get at me at sky.black@gmail.com and we can link up from there. But then I wanted to ask you that picture in the beginning. Did you do that on Canva with the little
actually, no. Kobe did that.
Oh, he did that? Okay, that's dope.
Yeah.
I've been trying to learn Canva for my little logos and stuff to put on my stuff. So that's what I've been doing lately.
You know what? To everybody that's looking out there, and this is something I knew about for a long time, and I need to get back to using it. But Fiverr,
Yeah.
Fiverr.
Yes.
You can find some really good stuff on Fiverr.
That is absolutely true. I use Fiverr too. I use that. I use Upwork. I use them all, man. When you're an entrepreneur and whatever my weaknesses are, that's where I go.
Right.
Like that.
And that's one of my weaknesses. My drawing skills is terrible. I'm talking about, man, preschool terrible.
Me and you in the same boat there. Cause I tell everybody I'm so left brain when it comes to that right brain. I can't do none of that stuff, man. I got to outsource it.
And music, you got me in music. Like I could do an intro to music all day, an intro to anything, products. As you know, like with your radio show, we did the little introductions to that.
Yes.
But when you talk about like sketch art or graphic art, don't come to me.
No, don't even come to me for coloring. Like I still trying to learn how to color inside the lines,
Man, how do you feel about this weather, man? This cool weather, man. We had perfect weather all the last couple of weeks, and now we can start to see that we're getting into that cold weather now.
Yes, we are. And so I'm glad because once I get off here with you, I'm praying to God this is the last time I got to cut this grass. All homeowners know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
This is it. This is it. We're going into fall. Hell, this grass shouldn't grow no more.
Man,
but I'm enjoying the weather though. I really am.
The only way that the weather really affected me right now, we were talking about this before we went live. I work a third shift job now.
Right.
And when you work a third shift job, it's a totally different animal to when you work in a first or second shift.
That's correct.
I've been working this job for 4 weeks and my body still hasn't adjusted. I don't care how much sleep I get before I go to work. I am dead tired come 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. That's right. I mean, because usually, I don't think when we was created, we were supposed to be nocturnal creatures, right? I'm assuming when God created us at night, we were supposed to sleep. But somehow this Western society is all about money. And if they can get it 24 hours a day, because when I was growing up, a lot of stuff wasn't third shift. That was coming up in the 80s. There was a lot of stuff was not the ambulances, hospitals, maybe certain gas stations, but no, there was no such thing as third shift. The 2000s when George Bush got in office, that's when I started seeing warehouses and stuff talking about some third shift overnight. Like, when did they start doing that?
It's funny that you said that because you know what I've noticed? There are probably more businesses. I ain't talking about businesses like fast food restaurants.
Right.
But I'm talking about corporate offices or companies that are open than there are gas stations.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine that.
I can believe that. I surely can believe that. To me, it's just greed. I mean, at night, you say you work from midnight to 8 in the morning. Hey, at 2 o'clock in the morning when that weather's changed and it's cold outside, you're supposed to be at home with your wife in the bed at 2 in the morning. Right. You know what I'm saying? Not out doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. But it's just gotten to the point that's the society we live in, man. You know, if you ain't out there doing it, somebody else got to do it. You know.
Yep. And I like the job. Don't get me wrong. I like it. I mean, you know, it's not manual labor. Man, and I think as we get older, we don't want that. You gotta. Yeah, my back don't work the same.
No,
these knees.
I'm still contemplating whether I'm gonna go back to wrestling or not. I'm telling you.
Oh man,
correct. As you get older, you're right. You start to feel it.
Yeah, because you probably don't get up the same. You know how when you're young, you pop up.
You pop up. Man, you stretch. I got to stretch when I get out of bed. You know, I got to turn this way, turn that way. You know, do all this, and you know, you got to take out all that stuff when you get out. You know.
Man, when I get out the car, I gotta stretch, you know, foot going to sleep, ankle, and you know, Charlie. I get more Charlie horses now than I ever got.
You're absolutely correct. But I tell folks, don't get old. It's not cute, but you know, we all got to get there. We all got to get there.
Ain't nothing wrong with getting old either, folks, man. Because like Sky, you said at the beginning of the show, you know, man, be grateful. And you're blessed if you woke up this morning, because there's a lot of people that haven't.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. So I'm thankful. I really am.
Man, me too, man. Also, today, before we get the show started, man, I'm excited today, man. Guess what I got coming in, brother? Guess what I got coming in?
What's that?
Birthday gift, but I wanted it really bad.
Okay.
The wrestling belt. But it's an NFL team wrestling belt.
Ooh.
So it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They got it for me for my birthday. Mm-hmm. And the weird part is, this is the crazy part. When people order the things from eBay, and this is why I've become a fan of Amazon.
Right.
You order from eBay. You think it's coming from America because it'll say it's coming from the USA.
Right.
But it's actually the middleman from somewhere else.
That's
so my gift is actually coming from, if you had to take a wild guess to where my gift is coming from.
Pakistan.
Man, how'd you know, brother? How'd you know?
Because Amazon FBA, that's what they do. You're just the middleman.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they do. They outsource it to China, Pakistan, Indonesia, all those places.
You just made my jaw hit the ground. Let me pick my jaw off the ground. I can't believe you actually nailed that. Yeah. You must order a lot of packages.
No, I've researched about it. I've researched and talked to a lot of people. So they make all this money. They'll go to like AliExpress, Alibaba, places like that, and get a cup for 50 cents and then sell it on Amazon for $3. And
that's wild.
Mm-hmm. And then some companies will ship it with their American address. So when you get it, you think you got it from an American address or company, but it really came from overseas. But they just put the American address on it. So when it gets to your house, you didn't know it came from overseas. Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely bizarre, man.
But still, congratulations on the belt, because WWE shop, those belts are going for $500-$600.
I seen that.
Mm-hmm.
But they look great. They absolutely look great, but not $500-$600 great.
No, and I ain't gonna lie, I got some WWE hit belts, but I didn't pay no $6. No, buddy. They went on sale for like $299 before I bought them.
I was looking for. Let me tell you something else. I was looking for on eBay, and I want to collect more of these.
Hey man, I got a small one. Signed by a Titan player. But I've never seen a big one yet. I don't know. Was maybe I was at what do you call that place? Sam's Club. Maybe I was at Sam's Club and I seen a big one. But I've never seen the big ones. I always see the little smaller ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the mini helmets.
Yeah, the little mini helmets. Yeah, gotcha. Yes.
Yeah, I seen this one. I got this actually maybe 2 years ago on eBay. I'm looking for the Tennessee Vols. And and though I'm a Colt fan, Colt/Cleveland Brown fan, I want the Tennessee Titan. I do.
Got you. Yeah. Mine has a Keith Bullitt, his signature on it.
Nice.
Yeah, my little mini helmet. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got a Tennessee Titan legend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. So that was a blessing, you know. And they might need them to suit back up the way they've been playing.
Oh yeah, because we drug them this weekend. I was looking, you know who I sought out soon as we won that game. A good friend of mine, Joe, and then Robert. Robert, man, I was looking for Robert to see what Robert had to say. And you know what they do? I noticed something about Titan fans.
What's that?
When the Titans lose, they always go to Dallas. If Dallas lose, they don't even care if the Titans lost. They glad Dallas lost.
That's right. I got two friends. One is a Dallas Cowboy fan. One is a Titan fan, and they go at each other every Sunday. So,
it's
but I can't talk to my Broncos. My Broncos has only won one game, so we 1-4. So I just keep my mouth shut. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that might be a good thing for y'all because y'all might be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So who knows?
I would think that, but I think they gave Russ so much money and gave up so many draft picks to Seattle to get him. We might can't even, have that because eventually they're gonna have to get rid of Russ, even when that guy comes off this rookie contract. And if you're a first round draft pick, you on the high side of the rookie draft contract. So, for example, let's take Brock Purdy, right? He was what, number 199?
Yeah, I think he was almost Mr. Irrelevant.
He was. He was the very last pick, right? Wow. So his rookie contract, they even said it on TV yesterday. His rookie contract is $100,000 a year. So San Francisco is not paying him millions of dollars. So they can take that money and invest in the offensive linemen, wide receivers. He at least have to play for another 2 or 3 years before he can either hold out or ask for an extension. So imagine having a Pro Bowl quarterback at $100,000 a year.
They're gonna, if they're smart, I mean, watching him play, if they're smart, they're gonna lock him up before it get to that last year.
I hope so. Don't be foolish like they did with Dak or Ezekiel Elliott, all these holdouts. But as of right now, the next 2-3 years by contract, he can't hold down. He can't go to another team. He can't ask for an extension. Whatever he signed when he was Mr. 199, that's where he's at right now.
You know what? They almost look like Super Bowl contenders. To be honest, they look like Super Bowl contenders.
Right. So imagine that the money that the 49ers are saving. So they can go into free agency and get all these people to surround him. But with us, what's his name? Russell Wilson, we gave him $200 million or something like that. And all them draft picks that we gave, man, we ain't got a pot to pee in or where to throw it out of. So we just done.
Do you guys have a draft pick this year?
No, if we do, it's in the later rounds because we gave up maybe a second and a third or a first and a third, plus picked up his contract from Seattle to bring him here last year.
Wow. Yeah. I feel bad for y'all, man.
They crazy. And then they thought Sean Payton, who had retired, was gonna come out of retirement and change everything, and it's just not working. Them two are butting heads all the time, it's not working.
Yeah, man, that's unfortunate. And my team, we got a rookie running back who we played 5 games, and every game, this dude been hurt every single game.
When he's not hurt, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast when he ain't hurt.
That's the problem.
But you know what, though? Y'all running game is so dope. You know who y'all should try to get is Derrick Henry. Because I don't think Derrick Henry going to be a Titan too much longer.
I don't even know if they need him anymore.
Huh?
I don't know if they need Derrick Henry now because they just signed Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
A couple days ago, and Zach Moss, you see what he did against the Titans. That was our second string running back that did that against the Titans.
That's right. So
we really need a receiver.
That's true. So imagine on the goal line from like maybe 10 to the goal line, that's when you would need a power back like Derrick Henry to just go. Any other plays you would use the other two backs, but just that short goal line, you need that 1 yard, you need to score. That's when I would give to Derrick Henry because they're trying to use Derrick Henry like a scat back, and he's not a scat back. He's not that. Right. And this is why when they go to run the ball, these defensive linemen is hitting them in the backfield. He's not Barry Sanders.
Right, because he's a north and south runner. And I've learned that the way to stop Derrick Henry is to get him running east and west, which is why Cleveland shut them down like that because they made them run east and west.
That's right. And so, and if Titans don't do know with that offensive line, Tannehill ain't gonna be there too much longer.
Man, I don't know how he's surviving.
I don't either. I have no. Only reason Russell Wilson survived because he's a scrambler. Because our offensive line is bad too. But right. Russell can scramble. Tannehill is like that old Tom Brady. Once you get to him, he gonna just go on down. You know, he ain't scrambling no damn well.
And he's been hit a lot.
Yeah, been hit a lot. Yes, that is absolutely true. Mm-hmm.
So, hey, y'all, we wanted to go ahead and get into this. I was thinking about this with everything going on in politics. There's a whole lot going on worldwide.
Yes.
And so I wanted to just, just bounce this off of just you and I, okay. Which says 5 laws or policies that either exist or don't that you would change or create if you had the power to, and why you think that those policies would improve society. And I got 5 of them at least.
Okay, go ahead.
So my one is, and I think this would really help society and change it, mandatory paternity tests.
Okay.
I think that, every time a child is born, just give a paternity test. Because it's on that child have the right to know if the father that the mother is saying is the father is really the father.
Correct.
And the guy have the right to know too. So right. I think that before a birth certificate should be signed by a male, that a DNA test should be taken, and right. Then they go from there. And I think that you shouldn't even be able to get any government benefits until you are absolutely sure that you know who the father of that child is.
I agree. I agree. But the issue or the people on the other side of the argument was like, okay, if you make it mandatory, where do you get the money from? Who pays for it? Taxpayers, like insurance companies? Who's going to pay for it?
I think the insurance company should. And they're taking money and sending it over to other countries.
That's true.
So they always say, well, who's going to fund it? Well, the same people that fund these other countries, our tax dollars.
And that's true. And the crazy part is they talk about inflation. They talk about the devaluation of the dollar, right? Well, if you print a lot of money and you put it into society, if everybody has money, it has no value, right? But what about the same thing if you take that same money and give it to overseas? So you might not be printing billions of dollars and putting it into the United States economy, but if you're taking billions of dollars and putting it into other countries' economy, that deflates the dollar too, in my opinion, because you're still printing money.
Exactly.
So, and then the government is like, well, these are great plans, but we don't have no way of funding them. But if I was on the news and you giving Israel or Pakistan or whoever the people are $400 million, well, there you go right there.
It's just like they just unfroze $6 billion to Iran. And then you see with the Hamas militants went over and attacked the Gaza Strip shortly after this. He actually unfroze that money September 11th.
Right.
Fast forward, not even 3 weeks later, man, look where we're at right now. So, they always ask, well, who's going to fund it? The government. I mean, they usually taking that money and pocketing it anyway. A lot of them go into office and they're not millionaires. And then by the time they leave office, they got houses worth $1 million. How is that even possible?
They rubbing elbows. I'm telling you, got to be careful. When you get into that circle, you learn how to play the game. So they playing a game that a lot of us have not even sniffed. That's a game up there that's just. But if you're willing to, in my opinion, if you're willing to sell your soul for riches and gold, then that's why they're up there.
And I was telling me and my oldest daughter was having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling her what a lot of times that happen is there are females, and there's no fault to their own. They don't know any better, but they'll be in a relationship. They'll be sexually active with a guy. Mm-hmm. They break up, meet another guy within a month, become instantly sexually active with him,
Right.
2 weeks later, find out they're pregnant, think
Right.
that it's the guy that they just got into a relationship with.
Mhm.
All the meanwhile, it was the guy's baby prior to. They just didn't know that they were pregnant then, and they probably weren't showing physical signs.
That is absolutely correct. So then what's the dangers of that? So that happens, and like that song that Kanye said, where he said 18 years, took a test and found out the baby ain't his. So you go 18 years later, and let's say this child needs a blood transfusion or something, and then you find out 18 years that you signed the birth certificate, raised this child, which raising is okay, and then but it's not biologically yours.
Exactly. And
so
it happens more often than not. I think the reason why they don't want to do these mandatory tests is because they know in their heart of hearts that I would say, if I was a guessing man, I would say 35 to 40% of these men raising children that aren't theirs, and they just don't know. They're just, man, they say, hey, I'm with this woman, so I don't care to know. I'm going to raise this kid. But a lot of them,
kudos.
I don't think it's their children.
And you could be right. So then, if so much time has passed and she doesn't know where the actual DNA partner came from, then if the child wants to know who the actual DNA dad is, how do you do that? Because you've gone 6-7 years with the partner you with now. He's probably moved to another country. Hell, he might be in the grave. Who knows?
Right.
Stuff like that. So I'm with you with that. If I'm with a woman, if I'm married, so let's just say you're married to her, right? Y'all been together for 2-3 years. She has a child. Do you still want a mandatory?
I think it still should be mandatory.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think it's not, man, shouldn't be just between the mother and the father. Because the mother absolutely, for the most part, no, the father, he hoping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think the children have an absolute right to know who their biological parents is.
Gotcha.
And so I think for the children's sake, the children should know. It shouldn't be the mother telling the child. And I think when the mother give birth, that, before she could get any benefits to fix this all, before she could get any benefits, it need to be proven who the father is.
Gotcha. And if you're married and you ain't stepped outside the marriage, then you shouldn't have no problem with doing it, right?
I think if you know, and that's a good point. Because if you know that father is the father, you wouldn't have no issue with him getting tested.
All right. So it kind of makes me think of like a prenup. When you ask a woman about a prenup, how they get kind of salty. You ask a woman to do a DNA test, they're going to get salty for some reason. Because for them, it's like when you ask them to do things like that, oh, you don't trust me? You know what I'm saying? It ain't about that. It's about, we want to know the truth, the actual facts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I never thought about that. But that is something maybe they should look into. But I'm just going to tell you, anytime you bring something that's going to help society, even if it's your local alderman, they're going to say, well, where are we going to get the money to pay for it? Because there's a lot of people getting pregnant that don't have insurance. So where would it come from? And that's just the number one goal that you usually get. For those that do have insurance, I agree. If you have insurance, whether it's TennCare, healthcare, whatever, yes, you should be mandatory to get a paternity test to find out that this guy standing here holding this baby is the birth father. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. And it will keep a lot of men out of jail that's in jail and shouldn't be because they're not the father, or it could also protect men financially.
Right.
And so I think it needs to be, if there was a law that I could change, it would be that.
Right. There you go. I agree 100%. I like that. That's something I never thought about. Never thought about that. Because usually only time people get DNA tests is when they want it usually divorces or don't want to pay child support. It's usually a negative thing when folks talk about DNA tests, but you bring it into a positive light. So yeah, I never thought about it that way. Yes, learn something new. Yeah, gotcha.
So if there was a law or policy that you can change right away, what is something that you would change right away and why?
Well, three of them I have down here. I don't know which one I want to start out with. My three is healthcare, Social Security, food stamps, right?
Gotcha.
So I'll start with Social Security because a lot of people don't know that, and I'm not being misogynistic when I say this, but a woman started Social Security, right?
Right.
It's a Ponzi scheme. If me and you was to start a Ponzi scheme, we would go to jail because
Exactly.
me and you, when we pay into Social Security, we're paying for our parents, right?
Right.
Our children paying into it is paying for us, and
Right.
then their kids will be paying. So that's a Ponzi scheme. That's usually what that is. But the government don't go to jail for that. We would if we was to try something like that. So
Right.
now what they want to try to do is privatize Social Security because there's not enough young people working to put into it. So that would be the first law or first thing if I was president of the United States that we need to change this because we're seeing that every generation is less and less people paying into it and less people working. Because in 1977, right?
Right.
I was born in 78. So before me, right? Whatever you put into Social Security, it was a pension. People need to understand Social Security is no longer a pension. A pension means that when you retire, you get it for the rest of your life. After me, when they changed the laws, whatever you put in is what you get out. So, folks, me and my age and younger, guess what? If we don't put enough into Social Security and we're 100 years old, you're going to get a letter from the government that says you're out of money. So to
Right.
me, that would be the first law and policy you need to change because you can't have people paying into Social Security thinking that that's their money. No, 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 no. Me and you, what we're paying into is taking care of the people that's older than us. If
Right.
our children don't work, me and you, we're going to be screwed when it comes because they're not paying into Social Security. So it needs to change. You know, they have these prisons where these people are working for pennies on a dollar and all this stuff. If you're going to force them to work and take away their freedom, make them pay into it too. You know, if these kids don't want to go to school and get a job, make them do 2 years mandatory military. A guy was telling me about that. He was a Sudanese, uh, and he was like, it was compulsory that when he turned 18, he had to join the military for 2 years. If you make these young people give them that option, work, go to school, or join the military, and make them pay into the Social Security that way, it might help. But as of now,
I think that's a wonderful idea, man.
yeah, it might not be enough level for me. You get ready to retire.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, man. And I think those are great examples. That military part also, I think that should be mandatory, period. I think if it was mandatory that people had to at least out of high school, either you went to college or you got a job or you went to the military. And I think the military should be, I think that should be mandatory because I think we wouldn't have as many anti-American people, man, speaking against America if they actually had to serve America.
Right, have some stake in the game. Right. Yeah, because when I turned 18, I had to register to vote and I had to register for the draft. Did you have to
Right.
register for the draft?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And if you don't, you can go to either A, go to jail, or B, not get any government like grants and stuff to go to school if you don't register for the draft.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So people thinking that they run away from the draft, they got your Social Security number. You ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, man.
Mm-hmm. But that's what scares me the most. So that's why I'm glad that folks like you are talking to your daughter about, hey, get multiple streams of income, get multiple investments, have multiple savings. Because you said how old your daughter is, 21?
And now my oldest 23.
You're 23. So when she turns 73, if there is literally no such thing as Social Security left because her children are not working, she's going to be okay.
Right. I think that is great. You know what? You made me think of, and I'm glad that you said, what you would change. Because this kind of goes in line with something that would change.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I would make life insurance, that would be mandatory. And it would be tied, to child support.
Yeah.
Meaning that when they say, well, who will cover the policy? Child support.
Yeah. Yep. Because most dads that on child support, they make them take out the insurance on the child till they're 18 anyway, right? So
Exactly.
if I'm on child support, I got to pay $200 a month. Plus, I have to keep the child on health insurance. So when that child goes to the doctor, I'm the one paying for that,
Exactly.
So why not also make the daddy put life insurance on the child, right? And then not only that, put life insurance on yourself, so that way if something happens to you, your child is the beneficiary. So when I was buying my home from Habitat for Humanity, we talked about that, the difference between the white and the black community, because she was saying that as a white lady, her parents and her grandparents cared about that household and what was going to happen to everybody. I said, well, when I grew up, people weren't thinking about no damn life insurance. Even now, I've had uncles that died a few years ago or last year. We didn't know how we was going to bury them. Right. We didn't. And this was last year. Yeah, we didn't know how we was going to bury them. So now we had to cremate one of them because that was like maybe $600-700 because we couldn't bury him.
And you think about it, man, we have to have health insurance, and it's not guaranteed that we would use it. Most people, they do. They get every now and then they get that, basic physical, appointment. But car insurance, you can pay for car insurance your whole life and never use it. And there's nothing you get back from that. So I don't understand why people would have car insurance and not life insurance, because you're guaranteed to use life insurance.
Some way, somehow, whether it's whole or term, you was absolutely correct. You was correct. And that's something when we go back to the woman sitting in the hospital, right, with the baby in her hand, and they said, okay, we need a DNA test. So not only do you need a DNA test, you're going to have two people on the side of this woman. You're going to have the hospital there with a clipboard that says, hey, this baby has been born. How you going to pay for it? Then you're going to have the insurance person, the Gerber on the other side, say, hey, this baby could die tomorrow. How are you going to pay for it? See, when babies are born, people don't think about death.
Right.
That child could die tomorrow, and you have to bury that child. The government only going to give you $300-400. So I'm with you on all that. Get a DNA test and get you some life insurance on both sides of the fence. So that way, if God calls that baby back home, you have, be able to bury that child.
Right.
Because think about all the stuff we see on the news. What is the number one thing we see after somebody dies? A GoFundMe page. Can you name one time when you see a black mama and the lawyer on TV and she's crying because the police killed a child, another black man killed a child, the child, bless his heart, died from cancer at St. Jude's? What is the next thing they talk about? Well, here's the thing to the GoFundMe page. And I'm thinking, you have to go back and say, well, why didn't people put health insurance or life insurance on these kids? Because they're going to die. We all going to die. And I'm sad that people don't want to have those conversations, but you got to.
And you really think about it, the life insurance on a little child is way less than it is for adult, because with adult, you're dealing with more, with life insurance companies, they're worried about, like illness.
Right.
Most likely, man, or physical. But with kids, for the most part, nobody is really worried about if a kid going to have a short life or not. So the insurance, like with my daughter, when I made her get life insurance, hers was way less than mine.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We got to put life insurance on my stepfather. And since he smokes and drinks, it's going to be out this world. But the way the doctors are talking, if he makes it another 2-3 years, it's going to cost us more to bury him than it is for these monthly premiums.
And I think if you work, that should come out of your check. If you work, why isn't life insurance coming out of your check for yourself?
Correct. You're not going to miss it. The old folks told me you can't miss what you never got. So if it's coming out of my check before I get it, I ain't going to see it. I ain't going to miss it. So you're absolutely correct. You do it with your 401k. They take the money out, put it in your 401k, and then pay you. They take the taxes out, then pay you. So why don't they take life insurance out and then pay you?
We pay Medicare. How do they know that we're ever going to use Medicare, but it come out of our checks?
That's right. And that money comes out of our check is to pay for those people who are on Medicare. So we fund the people who's on Medicare. And Medicaid, if that comes out of your check, and OSHA and all this old stuff, the taxpayers foot all those bills,
Right.
So if I'm gonna foot a bill, at least let me foot a life insurance bill, so that way we can bury some of these people. Because if not, it's gonna get to the point where they don't just probably just throw them in the ocean or put them in shoe boxes, or it's gonna get worse before it gets better, especially with the black community. Because I just don't understand. Like you said, a whole life insurance on a baby, like a Gerber baby, will run you like $9 a month. Whole life. That means for the rest of its life, if it dies, Gerber is going to bury that child. Don't wait till that child gets 30 and then it jumps up to $65 a month because now they're 30 years old. You should have done it when they was fresh out the womb, $9 a month, fixed and locked in for the rest of their life. They even say it on the commercial. Fixed and locked in for the rest of your life, $9 a month, not term, but whole life.
And you think about this, guy. If you think about it from this perspective, it would also cover their debt.
Yes.
So whatever debt that they have, it will cover their burial.
That's right.
Their debt.
That's right.
And then the remaining money should go to the children or family or whatever.
I agree 100%. And with me, what I try to teach people, whatever's left, put it in a trust for the next generation.
Right.
And write down, because see, this is what the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds did. They wrote down what they call a declaration on what you need to do when you get this money. You need to take some of this money to pay off your debts, some of this money to put other people on life insurance, and some of this money to do whatever the hell you want to do with it. So that way the trust is already funded, and these kids, the generation after generation, can start of having something. Because think about me and you, I don't know about you, but if I would have had at least 10 grand when I turned 18, maybe my life would have been better. But my
parents, a lot of us were.
Huh? Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right. That's what I would do. So if a child is born and you put the $9.99 a month for whole life insurance, if the child dies before it's 18, then bury the child, take that money, put it in a trust for your other grandchildren or children, whatever. But let's just say the child lives and the parents are dead, then the child should take that money, do what they need to do, and then put it in a trust for when they decide to have kids.
I couldn't agree more, man.
That's what the wealthy is doing. That's what they're doing. I never knew how they funded trust and hedge funds and all this stuff. They do it through life insurance.
Yep, and it's just astonishing that that's not included in people's paychecks or in child support. Because people always ask, that's something that can be funded, and it should be funded by child support. Because if it's really about the child, then why aren't they covered with life insurance?
Good question. I never thought about that. Good question. Good question. But so anybody that's listening to us right now, I hope y'all taking these gems and running with it. If you are deciding to have children, listen to what this man is saying. Listen to him because he's telling the truth. I don't know if you're young and you want to have kids at 25, like paying life insurance might not be in your budget, but trust me, even if you got to come off an extra $20 a month, it's going to cost you so much cheaper now than in the future. Trust me, when you're going to have to, because funerals now is like $10,000, $15,000, man. It's ridiculous.
You got me. You've asked, you know what? You brought up something interesting. And while you really discuss what your next law would be, I actually want to take time to actually look up on the average for a child that's healthy. How much on average would a life insurance policy cost them monthly?
Right.
I'm going to look that up, man. So I'm going to go ahead and get a floor to you on something, there's something else you would change, that you think that will make society better or improve society.
Well, the federal government, the two biggest bills that come across Congress desk every year is healthcare and food stamps. They spend trillions of dollars on healthcare and they spend trillions of dollars on food stamps. So those will be my next two things on what I would change. And it goes back to what you were saying about the DNA. If these girls are able to lay down and have a bunch of kids and get on welfare, the taxpayer is paying for that because you're gonna live in the projects for $60 a month. That includes air, heat, lights. You know what I'm saying? Because you're being subsidized by the government, who's taking the taxpayers' money. When LaQuisha is getting $1,300 in food stamps, that's being subsidized by the government, which is coming from taxpayers' money. Now, if you get a DNA test and it's not that father, and he decides to stay in the child's life, why do you need food stamps if you gonna get a job and he gonna get a job? Now, if if you with a guy and he gets you pregnant and you have babies, he takes the DNA test, he's the daddy, but then he looks at you in the hospital and says, I don't want to do this and leave, maybe I might have sympathy for you. You know what I'm saying? And say, yeah, you deserve a little bit of extra help. But I think those two things, the reason it costs the federal government so much is because those are maybe the two easiest things to take advantage of. And then it goes back to what we was talking about, the life insurance and all that stuff. That ties into the healthcare one. You know, everybody's like, well, let's have universal healthcare. Okay, well, if you have universal healthcare, one of the problems with the rich people is I don't want to go to the same hospital as the poor people. See, I don't always think it's a racial division, it's a class division. I'll tell you a quick story. So back in the 80s, Mercedes-Benz was going to make cars for the average person. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. So Joe Blow, who is a manager at KFC making $30,000, could pull up in his Mercedes-Benz and like, yeah, I got a Mercedes-Benz, y'all doing good. But the rich elite people that saw this, they quit buying Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz's sales dropped, all because they didn't want to be classified with the Joe Blow making $30,000 a year. They don't want him driving the same cars as these people making millions of dollars a year. So Mercedes-Benz quit that. That's why you don't have Mercedes-Benzes anymore for the average Joe, all because the rich wants to be separated from the poor. Universal health care means that if I get sick, hell, I might be in the bed right next to Joe Biden. Well, then what makes Joe Biden different than me? Okay. So my thing is, as far as trying to change the healthcare laws, I'm for universal healthcare, but I'm also for who gets it. If the president of the United States' wife is pregnant and she comes to a hospital and there's a homeless lady that comes into a hospital, who gets it? See, with class division, the person with the money and the insurance is going to go first, and then the other person is just going to have to wait. So those would be the two things that I would have to sit down with Congress and try to change, because if we can get those costs down, this trillion, what we had, $19 trillion in debt?
Shoot, I thought it was more than that.
I think it would come down, but those are the other two things that I would change.
Man, this one, I think you're going to like this next one. That is something I would change, but before I go ahead and address that, I pulled up of what it will cost. So for a $50,000 policy for a child, right? Which would about $10,000, okay? For 0 to 4 years old, it will be $19 a month.
Yep.
For 5 to 9 years old, $23.17 a month.
Right.
For a 10 to 14-year-old, we're talking about $26.75.
Correct.
And for a 15 to 17-year-old, we're talking about $34.75. Now, looking at them prices, all the stuff that we blow money on, tobacco, alcohol, name brand clothing.
Yep.
You mean to tell me we can't pay them prices for our kids to be covered?
I was always taught what you have is what you value. So if you don't have life insurance, it's because you don't value life insurance.
And that's deep and sad. You know, I wanted to jump into this. Here's something, if I had the power to, I would change. Fathers, men will be incentivized. They would have special tax breaks for remaining in the household. That means if they stay in the household, married, or it's proven that they're in a household, they live in a household with the mother of their children, they will get a major tax break at the end of the year.
You know what? And you know who would be on your side with that? It's a lot of conservatives, because that's what it was back in the day. Our grandparents and great-grandparents, they worked it out. They didn't just leave. They stayed because of the children. Now, maybe when the children turned 18, they left, but they stayed in the household for the children. Liberals and progressives, no, I don't care how many kids we got. I can't live with her. He can't live with her. We can't make it work. I gotta go. So if you give the progressive and the liberal, let's say, an incentive, what would you give them? $200 a month to stay, $300 a month to stay, or a tax break on a brand new car. Then he's really not staying for the wife and the kids. He's just staying because you're giving him the incentive. See, a real man wants to stay because he wants to be what God made him, a protector.
So let me even backtrack, Sky.
Right.
Let me even backtrack. I will make those for married men.
Okay, gotcha.
I wouldn't make it for just somebody that just going out, man, creating kids, man, watering the whole United States of America, planting seeds everywhere. Right. I think that should go toward men who are married. Okay. And I think that every 5 years, the benefit or the tax break should be larger and larger.
Okay. So what about the ones that are married that's heading towards divorce or separated?
I think once it's documented that they're divorced, they lose those tax benefits.
Right. What about they married and separated?
I don't think you should get it. Okay. I think in the household, it has to be proven that they are in the household. Right.
Doing what they're supposed to do. Okay. Yep. So then what about if they're married, right? But we don't know what's going on in the household. They could secretly be sleeping in separate beds, secretly seeing other people, but up front, they're married.
I think
they're only doing it just because of what you said, this tax break or whatever they're getting.
I think as long as they're in the house with each other, it's still beneficial to the kid that have both parents. So I think it should be rewarding them for both of them being in the household, raising the child. What they have going on outside of that, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's neither here or there for me to say.
Gotcha.
The focus should always be the kids. So I think long as they're married and long as, the kid is being raised in a 2-parent household, then I think that, man, they should be rewarded for that. I think marriage should be rewarded.
Well, you know what? You said every 5 years, when you're on food stamps and any government thing, you have to recertify every 6 months, every year.
Hey, you know what? I'm not even opposed to that.
Yeah. And I would want the children to chime in on it too.
Exactly.
They're married, but they could be in an abusive household where he's beating the wife and the kids, but hey, he's there, So yeah, I could see that.
I actually like that. Wasn't even thinking about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Because that's sort of what we're missing, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's parenting. It's supposed to be once you bring, and this is how I was taught. Once a child comes into this world, it's not about me anymore. It's about the child. If you wanted it to be about you, you should have kept it in your pants. But once you didn't keep it in your pants and the child is born, it's about them.
It's about them.
I can agree with what you're saying. It's just anytime we talk about helping, there's always that small few that's going to try to buck the system. See, that's not bad people in the projects. It's just the project life teaches you how to cut corners and buck the system. That's why I can't be in it. And because it's bad people, it's just a whole different lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So once you change this and get that implemented, you're going to have those people like, what can I do to get this and make it look like we doing? You see what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. Right. One bad apple spoils the whole basket, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so do you got anything else, man? Is there any other policy that you would change if you had the power to change?
In Georgia, and a lot of people don't know this, but I know this for a fact because I've seen the little card, and I don't want to call her my baby mom, but the mother of my children, it's her cousin who lived there. And back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, it's against the law to have sex underage in Georgia. Even, you can look that up.
I heard that.
Yeah, even if it's consensual, both of y'all will go to jail and be fined. If they find out that 2 16-year-olds are having sex, and I ain't talking about rape or nothing, I'm just talking about it's consensual, it's against the law. You have to be of age to have sex in the state of Georgia. They better not find out that you're giving birth at 16, 17 years old, because if they can't get you, they're coming after your man, your pappy. You know what I'm saying? Like truancy. So that's something I would change too, because I didn't start having sex till I was grown. That's because these black women put the fear of God in me. But again, if you can get these young people, I know it's easier said than done because puberty, we all go through it. But if there's something I could change to get these young men and women to stay focused until they turn 18 or 21, that's something I would love to implement. But Georgia said, yeah, and all the kids, they carry around the little card that tells you the sex laws in Georgia.
Wow. I got a really good. I got another really good one.
Go ahead.
I think these school systems should not get any money unless they implement programs, trade programs.
I agree.
Carpentry, automotive, welding, yes. I think those should be automatic for public schools. I think that should be the majority of what they teach in high schools.
Correct. But whatever happened to them? I thought trade schools turned into these 2-year community colleges. Because again, I was born in 78, so when I was coming up, there were trade schools. But next thing I know, now we have 2-year community colleges, and we have things called Job Corps. You know what I'm talking about, Job Corps? But those are where they sent the at-risk kids. Kids that were acting up in high school or dropped out, they would go to Job Corps, but at least they was learning a skill. That was a trade school. I don't even know if those still exist anymore.
Right. And I think that they need to have, they even if they don't want to implement that in public schools, they should, instead of these STEM schools and all these other crazy schools they got going on, they should have schools that particularly cater to children that want to learn welding, carpentry, and they should be high schools. And you can only it's cool if you could put 4 or 5 of them in a city, but children should have the option to be able to attend one of these schools.
And I believe so too. So my sister is on the board of a group that's against charter schools, right?
Yes.
You're saying public, but in 20 more years in Nashville, it might not be a such thing as public school. Yeah. They're going around buying up all the schools that are, what do you call it? The school has to have maintained a certain amount of grade averages or whatever. And if they don't, the county will sell the school to the charter people, which is private, right? Then they can go pick their own teachers and do all this other stuff. So if it's hard for us to implement it into public schools, imagine if Nashville is full of a bunch of charter schools.
You know what that made me think of?
What's that?
LeBron James School.
Mm-hmm.
You see his school, they had 8th graders, and for 3 years in a row, they did not one of them passed the Ohio Proficiency Math Test. Now, how is that possible? I think that is a waste. You are harming kids. It's a waste of their time. And if you really want to help kids, the one thing you can do is implement trade schools. Do away with these charter schools. Even some of these public schools, they shut them down. Why don't you turn around and turn them into trade schools? You can even have people that want to volunteer that come there and teach the children a trade.
And that is a great idea, because when I go to Illinois to wrestle, there is a few schools up in Illinois. The building is there, but the school been gone for 20, 30 years. Ain't nobody been in that building forever. So somebody could come, reopen that school building, and turn it into a trade school. Yeah. Because if a child gets into the 9th grade, and I don't know if you had a counselor or not, because I had one, and the counselor is seeing that school and books is just not there, they're more hands-on, send them to a trade school. I guarantee you there'll be A and B students, because everybody is not here all the time. It's not making them dumb or stupid. It's that God gave them the gift to do what I can, because I suck with my hands. So we give them that particular skill to get out here and make a living without feeling like they're high school dropouts.
Right. I think that is an excellent point, man. Dang, you know what? This hour went by quick.
Oh, yeah, don't it always go by quick, don't it?
This may have been one of my favorite shows that we've done so far. I can't wait. I wanted to take the time to say this too. I apologize to any viewers for last week. We had I had massive internet connection issues. And so it's good to see. I had to work on my computer. I think it was more of my computer than it was actually the internet. So I spent at least 6 hours, man, cleaning things up, cleaning my cookies, and
Yep.
And it's a lot better today. So I want to take this time to apologize to y'all. And I'm glad you guys are back this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Next week, we got a good show too, man, because Sky, you and I are off in the music, man. And I'm just looking at the state of music right now. And it is bizarre, man, some of the stuff that we see taking place. And I know we've talked about this before, like the differences between, the music right now and the music way back, maybe 20, 30 years ago. And so next week's topic, I'm trying to pull it up. It's the state of hip hop, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll give our thoughts on what's good about it, what's bad about it, and definitely what's ugly about it. So we hope you guys tune in when we talk about this and have this discussion next week.
Yes.
Sky, man, it is always a blessing to be on here with you, and I'm going to leave the floor to you.
Same here, man. Thank you again. I've been wanting to do something like this, but I could never find anybody who was serious about it. When you do things, everybody wants to be sedated or be successful overnight. Man, if me and you only getting right now 10 to 100 views, that's fine. Because eventually God is going to bless us to get to where we're going. You have to be consistent. You're not going to do 1 or 2 podcasts and be a millionaire overnight. That's why you don't see a lot of people do it. You have to want to put in the time every Tuesday at noon, on time, professional. And when people start to see that, that's when they're going to start to follow you. Then that's when the advertisements come. And look at $1 million worth of game with the guys from Philadelphia. I can't think of their name.
Gilly and Wallow.
They have been doing it for like 2-3 years before they signed that huge endorsement. It might have been $100 million for some alcohol.
It was something like that.
Yeah. So you have to really be passionate and want to do it. And that's why I thank you for being that and letting me come along from the ride, because I learn things from you all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those people that think I know everything. I love to just keep my mouth shut, ears open.
Man, you know what? I learned a lot from you too. I think this is great that even, especially 2 black men that have discussions like this, because we don't even see this, not even in barbershops anymore. We don't see, or have a lot of discussions like this.
Right.
So I think it's great. I'm looking forward to having more guests. I am working. When you don't see me online, aside from me adjusting to the sleep, my sleep is all over the place. Some days I only get 2.5 hours of sleep. But I'm working to bring other volunteers to come on and guests to be on and have discussions with us. So I'm looking forward, man. I'm very excited and, looking forward to the future.
That's true. And you know what? If we keep doing what we can do, you're going to have guests knocking at your door. You'll be to the point where your phone will just be jumping off the hook, because now people have picked this up. They see what we're talking about. Hell, they might even invite you to be a guest speaker. Who knows? Who knows where this might go? But, they say it's like 1 million YouTubers doing content every day. So I don't expect us to be in the analytics yesterday. It has to be consistency. And that's what I've learned about being an entrepreneur. You have to be consistent doing the good and the bad. Any of them will tell you that's making any money or doing anything as a content creator, they've done almost 100 videos before one of them picked up and went viral. It's like music. They've done 100 songs before one song got picked up and went viral. And that song was done like that song by your boy was called Black and Yellow, Black and Yellow. I can't remember if you remember.
I'm looking at his name. I'm looking at his face, but I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Where's Khalif?
Yeah, that song was done 3 years prior before it blew up. That's how old that song was.
I'll give you another example. Think of Kevin Samuels.
Yeah.
Kevin Samuels was doing it for years. And he started off talking about, issues with men. Right. And then when he switched over and started talking about women, he had one clip go viral. And from that one clip, he took off. But he had been doing it for years. So you're exactly right.
That is absolutely correct. So again, it'll get to the point where you won't have to find nobody. They will come looking for you. But as of right now, what we're doing is organic. what they call grassroots campaigning. And for the people that do hear us, we hope that you take this message and run with it and spread it like a gospel, because this is what we're here to do. We're here to help and learn, you know?
Exactly. And the best way you guys can help us is just by sharing it with your friends, listening to it, share it with other people you know. And that
Subscribe
definitely will help us grow.
Yeah, subscribe, comment, you know, because I might say some things on here that I might be wrong. You might look up something and says, "No, Sky Black, the statistics say this," and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, this is what I thought I had read," because everything online doesn't mean it's correct. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly, man. Well, Sky, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. Peace, love to all you guys, and I just want to leave here and leave y'all with this. The only thing guaranteed in life is death, so don't worry so much.
Amen. You're right about that. Well, until next week, y'all. Y'all have a great week.
All right, peace.
Peace.